By Ysmir, it's obvious Skyrim will be better off without the Empire's yoke. We Nords should trade and govern free of Imperial taxes and dictates. The Empire's idea of unity is meddling in our holds and pocketing our gold. You think I enjoy Imperial tax collectors taking a cut of every mammoth tusk and ingot I sell? Bah! Skyrim was built on free trade and self-reliance long before any septum stamped his face on our coins. Ulfric's rebellion is the first step to throwing off centralized rule. A true Nord business environment where a man's property is his, not fodder for some emperor's war chest.
Oh, here we go, the old Skyrim for the Nords refrain, now with extra anarcho-capitalist spice. Look, I'm all for free markets too, but breaking from the Empire? That's like rage quitting a guild without a backup plan. The Empire isn't just meddling in your holds, you milk drinker. It's holding Tamriel together so we can all trade in peace. Ever travel between provinces? Thanks to the Empire, a caravan can cross from High Rock to Skyrim without hitting a dozen armed checkpoints or petty king's tolls. You ditch the Empire, and mark my words, every hold in Skyrim will start charging tariffs at the city gates, if the bandits don't rob you first. Some free trade utopia, where Stormcloak toll collectors or outlaw gangs replace Imperial customs. Chuckles, I'd rather pay a modest Imperial levy that keeps the road sort of safe, than fork coin to every self-appointed road chief on the way from Riften to Solitude.
And let the Thalmor stomp on our faith. So not only do they take our coin, they take our gods. If that's the cost of stability, no thanks. An independent Skyrim could reopen its shrines, and guess what? No Thalmor inquisitors harassing honest folk for worshipping the ninth divine. Freedom of religion and trade, without Aldmeri agents lurking in every tavern corner? Sounds like a plan to me. The Stormcloaks may not be anarcho-capitalists yet, but at least they're kicking out the foreign oppressors who are the bigger threat to our liberty.
Ah yes, Talos. Trust me, I hate that ban as much as a Thalmor hates a truthful history book. But think, you mead-brained rebel, the Empire signed that ban to buy time. You don't rebuild an economy or an army when you're all dead on the battlefield. It's a strategic retreat, not an endorsement of Thalmor pointy-eared supremacy. And while you Stormcloaks are busy shouting freedom, louder than greybeards on a mountain, the Thalmor sit back and laugh, because our little civil war is doing their work for them. You're so focused on the Empire's sins that you'll hand Skyrim to the Dominion on a silver platter. Without the Empire's unified defense and network of trade, how long before Skyrim falls? You think private militias and jarls turned warlords are going to stop the Aldmeri Dominion's armies or keep the trade flowing? Ha! Good luck running your dream market when elven supremacists impose actual tyranny, the kind where they don't just tax you, they enslave or exterminate you. Sometimes you need a shield or an empire to guard the free market, pal.
Free market guarded by an empire, you hear yourself? That's like hiring a dragon to guard your sweet rolls. The Empire's shield has more holes than a Dwemer ruin. They couldn't even protect their own emperor. The Dark Brotherhood, a private enterprise of assassins, waltzed in and took him out, contract fulfilled. Some security force you're touting. Meanwhile, who's protecting Skyrim cities right now? Waiterun's guards, locals, not the Imperial Legion, died by the dozens fighting a dragon until the Dragonborn, an independent contractor if ever I saw one, stepped in. In Windhelm and Riften, it's the guilds and locals picking up slack. The companions take jobs clearing out giants that the Empire's too busy to handle. The Thieves' Guild, as slimy as they are, only exist because Imperial law left a vacuum that bribes fill nicely. Don't get me started on Riften. Empire's poised to stick Maven Blackbriar on the throne there, an openly crooked Mead Baroness as Jarl. Installing a crony capitalist who poisons competition, literally ask the Honningbrew guy. Real nice way to promote a free economy, Empire. The Stormcloaks aren't saints, but at least Ulfric didn't sell his soul to the Thieves' Guild. He booted the Empire's East Empire Company out of Windhelm, ending their monopoly at the docks. Sure, he's got the local Shatter Shield clan running shipping, not perfect competition I grant, but at least it's a Skyrim family hustling, not a crown-sanctioned monopoly funneling profits to Cyrodiil.
Newsflash, they hired pirates to sink their competition. That's your free market under Stormcloak rule, trade by sabotage and skullduggery. The Empire's East Empire Company might be a monopoly, but it answers to Imperial law and can't just burn rivals willy-nilly, bad for business taxes, you know. And about the Dark Brotherhood killing Emperor Titus Mead, you just proved my point. Even the Empire's not omnipotent, so what makes you think Jarl Ulfric, with his half-baked kingdom, can do better? The Emperor's death caused barely a ripple in Imperial governance. We're bureaucratic like that. But imagine Ulfric gets an arrow in the knee or worse, a Thalmor assassin's blade. Skyrim would implode into power struggles overnight. So much for stability. And please, dragging the Dragonborn into this? The Dragonborn is a fluke, an anomaly who can shout dragons out of the sky. We can't count on Dovahkiin Securities, LLC to handle every bandit and dragon indefinitely. Meanwhile, ordinary folks rely on consistent rule of law. Empire law isn't perfect, but at least it's standardized. Under Ulfric's rule, or any Jarl's little fiefdom, laws change hold to hold on a Jarl's whim. How secure are property rights when a new Jarl can seize property of Imperial traitors, or when some warlord decides he likes your farm? The Empire's courts and holds, flawed though they are, give some recourse. You can appeal to the Imperial governor or emperor if a Jarl oversteps. In your free-for-all Skyrim, whose justice prevails? Trial by combat. Whoever has the biggest axe or loudest thuum. Sounds like might makes right, the opposite of a stable market order.
You talk as if the Empire's legal system is the divine's gift to Mirren men. Scoffs tell that to Rogvir. Executed in solitude without so much as a fair trial for the crime of letting Ulfric walk out after a duel. Imperial law there was basically, please Elenwen and General Tullius, great justice. And Helgen, need I remind you I was nearly executed on Imperial orders just for being at the wrong place. List or no list, they were ready to chop my head off alongside a true Stormcloak brother. That's your precious rule of law, headsman's axe first, questions later. In a truly free Skyrim, we'd handle disputes with contracts or honor, not by Imperial decree or Nord King's fiat. We've got the Companions Guild mediating brawls and hunting beasts for coin, a prototype for private security and arbitration if I ever saw one. You hire the companions, they solve your problem. No politics, no feudal allegiance, just payment for service. I trust a mercenary who wants to maintain his reputation, and thus his business, over some conscripted Imperial guard who's just counting days to his pension. And as for Ulfric getting an arrow in the knee if he does, we Nords hold a moot to choose a new leader. It's not chaos, it's a shareholder meeting to elect a CEO of Skyrim, if you will. It might not be full anarcho-capitalism yet, but at least it's a more decentralized tradition than your hereditary emperor or the puppet high queen the Empire favors.
Ah yes, the famous Nord moot where theoretically anyone could be high king, but funny enough it's always some Jarl's kid or now Ulfric with his Thuum intimidation. Very free and fair, I'm sure. You compare it to shareholders electing a CEO, I hate to break it to you, but the Empire already has a board of directors of sorts. The Elder Council, the High King, when Skyrim's not in rebellion, there's a structure. And if we're talking business analogies, Tamriel under the Empire is like a trade federation, relatively free movement of goods, one currency, common standards. Our weights and measures don't vary by hold, thank you. Skyrim under Ulfric? It's an isolated startup trying to go it alone, severing ties with investors and partners. You think that'll attract investment or improve trade? East Empire Company ships will stop docking if Skyrim secedes. Why risk Thalmor pirates or losing Imperial market access? And Hammerfell might trade with you fellow Empire Deserter Club. But who's protecting the sea lanes? The Empire's navy is stretched thin without Skyrim's ports. Enjoy your free trade when every merchant ship has to hire a whole crew of companions as armed guards just to not get boarded. Prices will skyrocket, that is, if anyone even brings goods to landlocked Windhelm in winter. Meanwhile, under the Empire, Khajiit caravans roam outside the walls, granted. Nords aren't blameless either, with your suspicious xenophobia. But at least the Empire's law says they can trade. It's the local Stormcloak-friendly guards who harass them. I'm for open borders and free movement, but Stormcloaks screams Skyrim for Nords, while kicking out Imperial citizens and snubbing non-Nords. Some future paradise, an ethno-nationalist Skyrim, doesn't sound very free market to the Dunmer in Windhelm, or the Argonians slogging at the docks.
I won't defend every Nord idiot who can't see past a Mer or Khajiit's nose. Sure, Ulfric's inner circle hasn't made Windhelm the friendliest for outsiders. That's a cultural gripe, not inherent to leaving the Empire. Remember, the Empire was pretty fine with Skyrim's prejudices as long as the taxes got paid. Did Titus Mede send a quota of Khajiit-loving magistrates to ensure equality? Nope, he was busy counting coin. Look, an independent Skyrim could correct those injustices from the ground up once we're not at war. Hard to build an open society mid-rebellion, you know. And you mentioned currency, yes, the septum is accepted everywhere, blah blah. But it's literally named after a line of god kings who don't even exist now. The Empire's printing coins with a dead monarch's face. How long before they slip in some mix of cheaper metals to fund their deficits? I'd rather trust good old gold and silver barter, or a local mint accountable to Skyrim's people than a distant Imperial treasury that could decide our coin's value. Hell, in an anarcho-capitalist Skyrim we might have competing currencies, let the best money win. Perhaps the Thieves Guild would start a crypto sweetroll coin. Grins kidding, mostly.
10 Imperial AnCap. A crypto sweetroll? Talos save us, you've been sniffing too much moon sugar from those Khajiit caravans. Competing currencies sound fine until every Holds market devolves into barter chaos. I'll trade you 2 Blackbriar reserve bottles for a handful of Markarth silver septums. Wait no, these are Falkreath Deerpelts coins. Good luck with price tags in that mess. You know what the real currency in Skyrim is right now? Security and stability. Ask any trader, they'd rather have a stable rule even if it's a bit overbearing than constant uncertainty. And if we're talking anarcho-capitalist endgames, the Empire at least maintains a playing field where guilds and private enterprise can flourish under a basic legal framework. The Fighters Guild isn't in Skyrim, true, but the Empire tolerated independent groups like the Companions, and the College of Winterhold does its own thing with zero Imperial interference. The East Empire Company, you rail against it, but it's essentially a megacorporation that got rich under the Empire's Pax Economica. If anything, we should push the Empire to deregulate and allow competition to the EEC, break that monopoly, something we pro-market Imperials lobby for. But you Stormcloak cheerleaders would just replace one monopoly with another that favors your pals. Empire law can be reformed. A nationalist strongman like Ulfric just wants to sit on a throne and play High King, only tolerating the free market as long as it bankrolls his campaigns.
Ulfric this, Ulfric that, you act like he's the endgame. Sure, he's a means to an end, the hammer to smash the Empire's chains. Once free, I'm not against curbing any High King's power. You think every Stormcloak wants Ulfric to be an absolute monarch? By sure, no. Many of us see him as the one who opened the door. After the war, a true libertarian movement could rise in Skyrim. Nords have a streak of independence. We tamed this land without an empire's help. Let each hold govern itself, or better yet, let people form their own voluntary associations, trading companies, protection agencies, call them private guard guilds if you like. We could contract former companions or ex-legion mercenaries to keep the peace on the roads, pay them per bandit head perhaps. Competition even among guards, now that'd keep them honest. No more complacent city watch eating sweet rolls all day. And guilds? They'll do fine. The Thieves Guild might actually have to find legitimate work or at least face actual risk if towns hire competing thieves hunters. The mages of the college will sell their enchantments and knowledge to any buyer without some imperial authority trying to regulate soul gem usage or whatever. No centralized bureaucrat in the Blue Palace or White Gold Tower telling us what potions we can brew or what gods we can worship. Skyrim could become a haven for entrepreneurs and adventurers alike, a giant free market from the tundra to the throat of the world.
You paint a pretty picture. Jarls replaced by market-fed security contracts and entrepreneurs galore, everyone holding hands singing Sovngarde, sweet Sovngarde in harmony. But you're skipping the messy bits. Who arbitrates disputes in this utopia? When two traders from different holds butt heads or a mercenary company goes rogue, who steps in? In the Empire, there's a hierarchy, courts, imperial inspectors. Granted, not many in Skyrim, I admit. In your scenario, maybe the Bard's College becomes the arbitration court. They're good at tales, maybe good at settling trade disputes with a riveting saga? Grins. Jokes aside, I worry your free Skyrim would collapse into feuds. Today it's Stormcloak versus Imperial, tomorrow it could be City-State versus City-State. Riften's mob merchants versus Solitude's shipping clans, Markarth's Silver Cartel, Silver Blood family. I'm looking at you versus Dawnstar's miners. Without a central referee, those conflicts could turn into mini-wars. Trade thrives on trust and peace. Why do you think the Imperial Legion escorts Redoran and Argonian merchants over the Dunmeth Pass? Because a single caravan robbery can ruin trust in a route. If the Legion dissolves and it's just independent guards, you might get one caravan through safely. Then the next is ambushed by a competing guard outfit to eliminate rivals. Don't scoff, it can happen when coin is king and law is up for hire.
As if the Empire has prevented conflict between merchant clans. You named the Silver Bloods, those bastards already run Markarth like their personal fief. Empire or no empire, they've got the reach guards in their pockets and keep the mine laboring with prisoners. I don't recall the Empire intervening to stop that mini-war on workers. Oh wait, they were fine so long as the silver flowed to Imperial coffers and weapons. In an AC Skyrim, if the Silverbloods exploit people, those people could leave and form competing mines or hire their own protection without some Imperial-appointed Jarl backing the status quo. Or maybe the Silverblood thugs would get a taste of vigilance committees. Citizens banding together, like the vigilance of Stendar but for justice, not just Daedra hunting. The absence of an imperial prison complex might actually force communities to solve problems directly and innovatively. And don't kid yourself that the Empire ensured peace. Half the forts in Skyrim are overrun by bandits or rebels, and that's under Imperial watch, or because of the war. We already have mini-wars. Just look at the battle for Whiterun. A bunch of Nords killing each other with Imperial and Stormcloak banners overhead. In the end, who stopped that fight? The outcome hinged on the Dragonborn again, a free agent. Not Tullius's genius or Ulfric's planning alone. Individuals turned the tide, not the faceless state.
14 Imperial AnCap. Yes, credit to the mighty Dragonborn, the exception to every rule. For all we know, the Dragonborn's an anarcho-capitalist too. She sure doesn't pay any taxes on those dragon bones they sell. Laughs, but until Alduin's Bane starts a school for economics, we mortals need systems. The Empire, flawed as it is a system that has kept Tamriel from imploding. Your plan basically amounts to throw off Empire, hope everything magically decentralizes into order, Bold strategy, Cotton. If Skyrim goes fully AC, maybe it prospers for a time. I'll concede Nords are industrious, and Skyrim has resources. But you'll be one province against a continent of states and empires. The Aldmeri Dominion isn't going to say, "Oh, you have no government? We'll leave you alone then." More likely they'll see a power vacuum and move in with their own heavy-handed governance. With or without war, they could bankroll a faction. Maybe those elusive forsworn in the Reach imagine a Dominion-sponsored rebellion opening a second front, or just economically dominate you. Flood the market with cheap elven goods to bankrupt local businesses, then buy them up. Without an empire to coordinate a defense or a response, Skyrim might gradually become a vassal to the Thalmor. Economically or militarily.
Talos smite the Thalmori say. If they try any takeover, they'll get a Nordic welcome, an axe to the face from every free Nord who values their life and property. You underestimate the fierce independence of Skyrim's people. Remember, Hammerfell stood on its own and beat the Dominion back after the Empire withdrew. Redguards aren't that different, proud, free warriors. Skyrim could do the same. And a free market Skyrim could afford it. No more sending our coin to Cyrodiil, we'd keep it to hire the best mercenaries, build defenses, and maybe hire some clever Dwemer-inspired tinkerers from the college to even the odds. I hear they have an unhealthy number of exploding robots up there could come in handy. Yes, the Thalmor could flood the market with elven goods, and we Nords will undercut them with our own craftsmanship, or charge them tariffs at the border if need be. Shrugs. Hey, even an anarcho-capitalist can make an exception for dealing with external hostile powers. Consider it a defensive tariff until the invaders bugger off.
Oh, now who's making exceptions to anarcho-capitalism? Tariffs? Defensive only, I'm sure. That's how it starts. Next thing you know, you've created a de facto state to coordinate the defense and the tariffs, and bam, central authority is back. Just wearing a bear pelt instead of Imperial dragon armor. Face it, some form of state might re-emerge as long as external threats exist. I'm not thrilled about it either. In my ideal Tamriel, the Empire eventually withers away, and we have true free trade from Yokuda to Akavir. But I'm realistic about sequence. We need the Empire now to fend off worse tyrants and to gradually reduce the fetters of the state. It's easier to push the Empire toward libertarian reforms like legalizing Talos worship again, cutting taxes, allowing private competition in courts and protection maybe, than to start from scratch in a war-torn land. You'd throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'd keep the baby free commerce across Tamriel and slowly drain the bathwater Imperial overreach over time.
Your metaphor game is as strong as a mudcrab, friend. Drain the bathwater over time? We've waited decades. The Empire's only gotten more centralized and compromised. Titus Mede II didn't exactly shrink government or stand up for liberties. He expanded the Penitus Oculatus's secret police, anyone? And literally outlawed a god. We rebelled because waiting on imperial reform is like waiting for Nazim to not mention the Cloud District. Pointless. Sometimes you need a clean break. Sure, maybe a pure stateless society doesn't pop up overnight after Ulfric wins. There will be governance, hopefully light and local. But that reset gives us a chance to write new rules or no rules, to let Skyrim evolve organically without foreign imposition. Think about it. Guild contracts, hold partnerships. Jarls turned into mere figurehead facilitators or phased out. If any province can handle rugged individualism, it's Skyrim. We already have homesteads in the wilds where families live by their own labor, and adventurers making their fortune dungeon delving and starting businesses, slaying Draugr one day, opening a smithy the next. The spirit of self-determination is in our blood. I trust that over some distant emperor's promises.
And I trust in cooperation and networks that transcend one's snowy province. Skyrim's fierce, no doubt, but even Nords benefit from allies. Why do you think Ysgramor invited migrants from Atmora or traded with the Dwemer before they screwed it up? Because isolation is a dead end. The Empire, at its best, is a grand network of allies and trade partners bound by something loosely resembling law. I want to see that network free of coercion one day, but if you rip out the spine and Skyrim's a big vertebra in that, the whole body might collapse. Then who wins? The Skeevers and the Necromancers, also known as bandits and Thalmor, who thrive in chaos.
We'll kill the bandits and charm the necromancers, throw in a free market, and maybe they start a potion business instead of raising the dead. Winks okay, I might be a bit idealistic. But better idealism than defeatism.
And I'll take pragmatic gradualism over reckless revolution.
I raise my mug to a Skyrim where neither an emperor nor a king tells us what to do. Whether it comes by Stormcloak victory or imperial evolution, may we live to see true freedom and capitalism flourish. In the meantime, I'll keep fighting the Empire's hold, with an axe in one hand and the wealth of Jarls in the other.
And I'll work to reform the Empire from within, gods know it needs reform, while trading with you across the border if it comes to that. I'll send you a copy of Anarchy in High Rock. When it's published, it's a good read on decentralized markets.
Ha, deal. See, we can bargain on common ground. Who knows, maybe one day we'll be business partners in a free Skyrim, instead of arguing in a tavern. Until then, I'll be over here, funding the next rebellion.
And I'll be in Solitude, funding the next trade caravan. Which, by the way, I'll charge no extra tariffs, even if you Stormcloak types take over the route. Free trade, right?
Free trade. One thing we actually agree on. That, and that the Thalmor can shove their pointy ears where the sun don't shine.
Hear, hear. If they come for us, state or no state, I'll stand with any Nord, Imperial or Argonian who fights for freedom.
Finally talking sense. Until next time, Empire Man. May your roads be safe and your profits plenty, just don't send any more tax collectors to Whiterun, or they might, accidentally take an arrow to the knee.
And may your sense stay as sharp as your axe. Don't go shouting down any courthouses just yet. We've got a world to win for liberty. We just differ on the battle plan. Safe travels, Stormcloak.